On a damp night in April 1956, East German soldiers in Alt-Gliernicke begin routine repairs on telephone lines. They uncover something impossible, a hidden tunnel beneath the city. A tunnel built by America and Britain burrowing under Soviet Berlin, secretly tapping phone cables that carried the heartbeat of the KGB. This is the story of Operation Gold, a daring Cold War gambit that combined engineering, betrayal, and the highest spy stakes. A mission born in secrecy, threatened by traitors, nearly exposed, but yielding intelligence that changed Cold War history. It's not just about a tunnel. It's about lies kept, heroes hidden, and how one mole shaped the fate of millions. Berlin, early 1950s. The city is a puzzle of zones. Western allies control West Berlin. Soviets rule East Berlin. The Iron Curtain isn't just ideological, it's physical, electric, wired. For the CIA and Britain's MI6, the problem is simple. The Soviets have switched much of their military communication to landlines, telephone, telegraph, cables. These wires link Moscow to East German and Warsaw Pact command centers. If you can tap those cables, you can hear strategy, plans, troop movements. The Western intelligence services had tried smaller wiretaps elsewhere, Operation Silver in Vienna, for example, but Berlin was central. Almost every major Soviet communication between Moscow, Warsaw, and Eastern Europe passed beneath the city. But Berlin is heavily guarded. Surveillance everywhere, checkpoints, a border dividing streets. No easy way to sneak in and wiretap openly. That's when a bold plan emerges. Dig a tunnel under the city, secretly reach the Soviet communications cables, tap them. Fit 3, 1954. CIA and MI6 begin discussions. They sketch maps. They identify the telephone and telegraph junctions used by Soviet forces. The chief of the plan is Alan Dulles, CIA, working with British technical experts. But they need help. They need access to maps of underground cables, soil types beneath Berlin, and logistics for removing thousands of tons of soil without drawing attention. They find a warehouse on the American side, in West Berlin, in the Rudow-Neukölln area. It includes a large basement, ideal for hiding excavation and soil. The cover is plausible. A U.S. Air Force radar site and warehouse facility. Engineers debate how to move soil, how to build a tunnel shield, a metal shield at the entrance to prevent collapse, how to line the tunnel with steel plates, keep ventilation, power, access, secrecy. Noise control is essential. Also a key issue, gathering intelligence on which exact cable to tap. Minor cables are useless. High-traffic Walmart pack cables are the prize. Contacts inside East German post and telecommunications are cultivated. Everything proceeds in near obsession. Definitions. The tunnel will be about 476 feet long, 450 meters, lined with steel crossing under the Soviet East German sector border. Tapping lines buried less than 2 feet beneath roads. 1955, digging begins. September 1954, the vertical shafts. Construction from the warehouse basement, shielded entrance. Engineers move tons of dirt, haul steel liner plates, install paddles for ventilation, install temporary power, living quarters for workers. Secrecy is vital. Each worker signs NDAs, covers are prepared. Problems emerge, water leaks, sandy soil, risk of collapse. They implement pumping and shielding. Underground chambers are built for monitoring and operations. British technicians install the actual taps. Device rooms, air conditioning, wiring, recording devices, all inside the tunnel. By May 1955, the tunnel is operational. The taps are producing massive amounts of intelligence. Phone calls, teletype messages, telegraph, conversations between Soviet officers and between Moscow and East Berlin, Warsaw Pact messages. The West begins to listen to Soviet war plans, troop mobilizations, internal disputes. The intelligence value is enormous. Analysts in Washington and London work around the clock to translate and process intercepted data. Thousands of reels of tape, hours of conversations, teletype transcripts. The project becomes one of the West's most ambitious espionage operations ever. Even as the tunnel is being built, there is a dark secret the Soviets know. George Blake, a high-level mole inside MI6, has betrayed the plan. He informs the KGB during its planning stage. But the Soviets make a calculation. Better to allow the tunnel to be completed, let the West collect real intelligence, but keep Blake safe. The mole must not be exposed. This creates tension. There are internal debates. Should they risk early detection? But the Soviets choose to stay silent, watching the operation play out while preparing a spectacular reveal. Meanwhile, the tunnel continues to function. For nearly a year, intelligence flows, and the West feels they are winning the shadow war. But always there is the risk. Detection, propaganda fallout, diplomatic crisis. Exposure of Blake April 1956 on April 21st, 1956, Soviet and East German forces discover the tunnel. The official story, workers repairing underground cable notice unusual rerouting, find the wiretap, trace it to a secret tunnel. It's a dramatic moment. News crews are called. The Soviets hold a press conference in Berlin, accusing the Americans of illegal spying, violating sovereignty. What many didn't know at the time, the Soviets had known from the start because of Blake. The discovery was staged in part for propaganda. They allowed the operation to continue long enough to protect their mole and avoid raising suspicion. Then, once sufficient intelligence had been gathered, they made the tunnel public. The West is humiliated in some sense. Their secret has been exposed, diplomatic tensions flare. But also, most analysts marvel at the audacity and technical achievement of the operation, the clever engineering, the boldness, the huge scale. Even after the discovery, the intelligence gathered turns out to have been real, genuine, not manipulated. The West got substantial value, insights into Soviet and East German military order of battle, where troops were stationed, what readiness levels were, what logistic routes were used, early warnings about the establishment of the East German army, internal tensions between East German and Soviet leadership, resistance and resentment within the Eastern Bloc states, rail network conditions, readiness issues, many operational plans. Even though the Soviets knew about the tunnel, they did not deliberately send false information via the tapped cables. That's an important fact. The intelligence was useful, not faked. US and British analysts used this new knowledge to shape military posture, diplomatic policy. They realized that Soviet power is not monolithic. They monitor Warsaw Pact war games, detect hesitations, weaknesses. They echo internal Soviet concerns, prepare NATO accordingly. George Blake is eventually exposed, arrested in 1961. He's convicted as a traitor in Britain. His betrayal had huge consequences. It undermined trust within British intelligence. For years, the Soviets had used him to know about operations like gold. Despite the discovery of the tunnel, many things remained classified for decades. Only gradually have historians pieced together the full extent of Operation Gold. Books like Betrayal in Berlin reveal how close the operation came to catastrophe, how dangerous the mole compromised it, yet how the audacity of the mission overshadowed its exposure. The legacy, Operation Gold, is taught in intelligence and engineering circles as one of the boldest espionage operations ever. It embodies risk, deception, grit, betrayal, and technical ingenuity. It also shows that intelligence is seldom clean. Spies work in shadows, sometimes against their own side. What if the Soviets had discovered the tunnel immediately? The intelligence would have been zero. NATO might have been in the dark. Perhaps more weapons, more readiness gap. What if George Blake had not betrayed them? Could the CIA have extended the operation longer, collected even more intel, perhaps shaped Cold War events more forcefully? What if the Western public had known earlier about the tunnel? Would the revelation have caused outrage, diplomatic crisis, even war? The tunnel is gone. Only history remains. But many artifacts, documents, tapes, accounts have survived. The warehouse still stands in some form. The site of the tunnel is studied, photographed. The story inspires novels, films, spy thrillers. So when you hear about spies, secret tunnels, betrayals, remember Berlin, 1955 to 56, a tunnel built in darkness, wiretapping the heart of Soviet command. A mole who betrayed from within, a discovery staged for propaganda. And yet, despite it all, real intelligence changed the world. If this story got your heart racing, hit like now. Subscribe so you never miss the untold espionage stories they didn't teach you in school. And share this video with someone who loves Cold War mystery as much as you do. In the comments, tell me, which part shocks you most, the engineering feat, the betrayal, or the Soviets' decision not to stop it right away? Because in the world of spies, sometimes it's not enough to steal secrets. You must steal them without being caught, or forgive your traitor in order to keep the game alive. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next round.